Live from the Nicholson School of Communication, it's tonight's
I think
with special guest Kyle Edwards and musical guest Mag Lowe featuring Oh Super. And now your host, Matt Regal.
Hey guys, welcome to Tonight's Tonight. I'm Matt Regal. I'm your host for this evening's festivities. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it a lot, more than you know, perhaps. So we just started October, which means it hasn't even been a year since the 2016 presidential election, and already we're talking 2020, all right? Oprah Winfrey has hinted at a presidential run in 2020. I'm looking forward to hearing her platform, or as she calls it, Oprah's favorite things. You get health care, you get health care.
ACC conference tournament where they stack up.
Everyone's getting health care.
Into the world of Marvin Bagley, they can score with anyone.
Side Resort in France has installed an oyster vending machine.
For some, leadership on the team, and to guide all those freshmen, I think they'll be.
That seems to be a big point, especially in college basketball, is the leadership and the structures around the programs. And I mean, what better than Duke? That coaching staff and they've just been there.
Yeah,
so.
The coaching staff too. They're not used. They have a lot of freshmen, but Grayson Allen needs to take a leadership role along with Coach K, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. All right, well, speaking of Duke, they are currently putting together one of the greatest recruiting classes of all time. They signed 4 of the top 12 players in the 2018 class, according to ESPN, including 3 top players in the class: R.J. Barrett, Zion Williamson, and Cam Reddish. However, in the one-and-done era, only 2 teams have taken #1 overall recruiting classes and morphed them into national champions in one season. In 2012, Kentucky with Anthony Davis, and more recently in 2015, Duke with Jahlil Okafor, Tyus Jones, and Justice Winslow. What is your thoughts on the one-and-done culture, and if it's a viable option for building a championship team? Jimmy?
I don't think it's a viable option for building a championship team. I mean, it's nice to get the best players. It's nice for recruiting. It's nice for, to start the season in the AP top, 10 or whatever. But if you look at the top, and we can go from this season and past seasons. So this season, Villanova, Virginia, Xavier, all those teams, none of their even top 3 scorers are freshmen. Sure. And those are like the top 3, top 5 teams in the country. You can go all down the list, and none of their top 3 scorers are freshmen. So that's this year. And then, like the previous years, the question stated, 2 teams in the last, handful, 10 years have won with a true freshman as their best player. The Duke team with Jahlil Okafor and the Kentucky team with Anthony Davis. I think it's nice for recruiting standpoints. It's nice for, maybe the AP polls, but it's not nice for winning a championship. You need team chemistry, and it's hard to do that when players are leaving.
Yeah, in this culture, team chemistry is definitely something hard to find. Andre?
I think one-and-dones for college basketball, I think it's perfectly fine. From a standpoint of winning a championship, like Jimmy said, I don't think it's going to give you a guaranteed championship. There's too much depth in college basketball. There's too many sleepers. There's too many kids that just go unnoticed that aren't in top recruiting classes. And if you look back, like you said, there's only 2 teams that won national championships with those type of classes, and like I said, I don't see it's a problem unless it's not like the professional sports where you have the Warriors where you make these dynasty teams and you expect them to win and they do win. It's not like that in college basketball.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd say all that, but this Duke recruiting class that's coming in next year, 3 of the top, I think 5 or 10 players, it's going to be scary. They might change things. They might bite my words.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that the culture with the one and done, there's just not enough repercussion for the kids that want to go. And I don't know. Like you said, there's a lot of unnoticed talent, and I think that's what leads a lot of teams.
Yeah, and I think the players staying might not go high in the NBA draft, but they're going to win college championships, and that's what the question was. So
exactly.
And get degrees.
Yep.
Yeah, more importantly. So, since we're on the topic of freshmen, there has unsurprisingly been a rush of young talent in college basketball ranks this season. Guys like Trae Young, DeAndre Ayton, and Mo Bamba, and Marvin Bagley, as we spoke on earlier, have taken the country by storm. Which freshman is the best in college basketball as we head into March, Andre?
Best freshman, Jaren Jackson Jr., no doubt. I think he's NBA ready, and he averages 11 points per game, 6 rebounds, almost 4 blocks a game, and he shoots free throws at a high percentage. His three-point percentage, 42%. He could shoot the ball very, very well. He's almost 7 feet tall. He's built pretty good for his age. He's only 18 years old, and his wingspan is, I believe, 7'4". I mean, he could guard nearly any position.
Yeah, he's exciting.
His fluidity on the floor, I mean, he runs the court. It doesn't even look like he's that big.
Yeah,
No, I like that. That's a guy that doesn't get talked about with a lot of the top 3 guys. But I'm going to go with a guy that does and probably should be taken #1 overall this year is Marvin Bagley out of Duke. Man's averaging 21 and 11 as a freshman, carrying the Duke Blue Devils. Looks like a grown man out there with young boys, and he's 18 years old. He's over a block a game, over a steal a game, so he can play some defense. He can shoot. He's shooting 60% from the floor, 35% from 3. I think that'll only get better. Like I said, he's only 18.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And then they've got Zion coming in next year. He could be even more dominant than Marvin Bagley is now.
Oh, he's going to be exciting. I think exciting is the word to describe Zion.
Electric. Some of his dunks are just
for sure
absolutely unreal. Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. But moving on to the joust is going to be Jimmy Calhoun. Congratulations. Andre, well done.
Thank you.
Seriously. Great first attempt, and I'm sure you'll be back on here.
For
and
sure.
You guys stay with us through the break. Don't go away.
It is time for your UCF Sports Week preview brought to you by Nightly News. I'm Jimmy Calhoun, and let's take a look at what our Knights have in store this week. We will start with men's basketball as they take on USF on Wednesday night. The War on I-4 will take place at the CFE Arena at 6 p.m. Back on January 20th, the Knights beat the Bulls 71-69 in Tampa. BJ Taylor led the Knights in that contest with 25 points. Now from the hardwood to the diamond, the UCF softball team will play a doubleheader on Friday in the Disney D9 Invitational. They will take on Northern Iowa at 2:30 and will bounce back shortly after to take on LIU Brooklyn at 5. The team has another doubleheader on Saturday as they take on Texas Tech at 3 and FAMU at 5:30 at home. This will come after the Knights played in the Friends of Jacqueline Invitational this past weekend. The UCF baseball team will begin their season on Friday as they take on Virginia. That's only the beginning for the Knights as they will play Rice on Saturday at 5 and Sanford on Sunday at 2. Both games will be held at the newly renovated John Uliano Park. Now back to the hardwood for some UCF women's basketball. The War on I-4 continues for the women as they take on USF at the CFE Arena. This will be the Knights' first meeting with the Bulls this season. Tip-off is set for noon. The UCF men's golf team will match up with UF in the Gator Invitational this weekend. Matches are set for all day Saturday and Sunday. As for the UCF women's golf team, they will compete in the All-State Sugar Bowl Intercollegiate Women's Golf Championship against Tulane. Matches will begin on Sunday. That's all we have for this week. Check back next week for our UCF Sports Preview brought to you by Nightly News.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
Thanks for sticking with Hitting the Field. I now welcome on HTF veterans Ben Sanders and Mark Tavilla, both of whom are itching to break down the recent happenings in the NBA.
Just itching, man. Just itching.
The Cleveland Cavaliers flipped basically half of their entire rotation last week, bringing in Rodney Hood, George Hill, Larry Nance Jr., and Jordan Clarkson. All of these moves created a buzz throughout the league as the Cavs emerged as an almost completely new squad following the deadline. They went out and crushed the Celtics yesterday, and while we don't want to rush to conclusions, they certainly looked like they had a weight that had been lifted off their shoulders. What is your outlook for the new-look Cavs in the rest of the season? Ben, we'll start with you.
You know what they say about bad apples, right? Just one of them spoils the bunch, and I don't know what was going on in the locker room. I don't know what players were causing trouble. I don't know why it was so toxic, but they had to make the moves. They were spiraling down the Eastern Conference, and if they landed in fourth or fifth place, you know, it was still not going to be that great. So I like what they did. I like the two players that I really like they brought in. I like Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood can shoot. No one really has seen what he can do in Utah because his ankles and he's had foot injuries the last few seasons. But he keeps J.L. Smith honest. And if J.L. Smith misses, they know that Rodney Hood can come in and shoot. You know, Kyle Korver can shoot, and he's not going to go out anytime soon. So, Rodney, he's up from 13.2 points per game to 16.2 points per game just this year with both teams. And that's only after being on the Cavs for a short time and having a good season with Utah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jordan Clarkson, who's proved that with LA that he can actually play, and now he's on a team with a bigger stage. He's not going to have the points that he was getting in LA, but he's still going to be a valuable member of that roster, and it's just more better shooters on the team.
Absolutely. Mark?
I'm just backing off of what Ben said. Like, honestly, it seems like the communication is finally there for the Cavs. Sad day for me.
Yeah,
obviously.
It had to have been a rough one yesterday.
But you can see, like, with Hill, Clarkson, and Hood and Nance, they combined yesterday for 49 points in total.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Just the scoring is off the chain now for them. LeBron himself actually almost grabbed a triple-double. It was 24 points with 8 rebounds and 10 assists. So he's finally happy again, it seems like. And yeah, you can be okay with playing with them on 2K again.
Yeah.
So it seems like.
I think most importantly, what the Cavs did was they got younger. They got younger and they got more athletic.
There's only so much jumping you can do before your knees give out.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, aside from all the noise the Cavs made at the deadline, there was still a little bit of movement around the league. There was also a lot of discussion as to trades that were proposed but never happened. Was there anything that surprised you at the deadline that did or did not happen? Mark, we'll start with you.
Well, I guess for a shout out to Zach, Elfrid Payton going to the Suns for a second rounder. It's pretty sad. Zach cried. I was the one that told him, actually.
Yeah,
it's pretty sad.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think he's going to be a good fit for Booker when he finally comes back. When Payton was with the Magic, he actually was the first player since Chris Paul, at least for his 2005-2009 run, to average 6 assists in his first 4 seasons, and he was the Magic's leading player in triple doubles, actually. So
I'm not sure if that move was so surprising to me as it was just.
It wasn't really surprising for me. It seemed like, I don't know. It's kind of backing off of a later question.
Will he get a better barber in Phoenix? That's the question.
I don't think there's a barber in the world that Elfrid Payton trusts, because he's got to cut his own hair with that style.
Another thing, with the Celtics kind of seeming confident as well with the trade deadline, they didn't do any moves. Got whooped last night, though. So it seems like we're still actually needed to find some sort of offensive pieces, but for the most part, yeah, I don't know. Well, that's not really a surprise for me with how we've been playing this season.
Exactly. It's hard seeing what they had done previously, and then I think maybe the Cavs just came in there with a little bit of swag and this new look team. They were almost setting themselves up for failure, you know? Ben?
I have a couple. I'm surprised Kemba Walker didn't get moved. There was
I agree.
There was rumors all over the league that, like, multiple teams, they said in double figures, were inquiring after Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker he's a solid point guard in the league now. He's very underrated, and he's playing for a Hornets franchise that's pretty disorganized. They have one good season and 3 bad ones. Kemba's proved that he can get to the basket, he can pass, he can shoot.
But somebody like Kemba could be a difference maker for some of these teams that are right on the cusp.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. Go to a 9th or 10th place team, and he can bump them in 7th or 8th. And even if you get knocked in the first round of the playoffs, it's still better than where you're at now.
I think that's definitely the most surprising move that did not happen.
And then just quickly, Jay Crowder, what he said, he went to Utah, and they said, I like playing in a system. So what does that say about the Cavs?
I'm not sure. I think there's definitely a culture issue. But a fun conversation that arose after the last-minute deal of Elfrid Payton getting sent to the Phoenix Suns for a second-round pick. That conversation was essentially boiled down to which NBA teams is the worst-run franchise in the league. Some obvious contenders emerged with names like Sacramento, Orlando, Phoenix being thrown out. But also, you can't forget about New York and Charlotte and Memphis. Who do you think is the worst-run franchise in the NBA, Ben, quickly?
I can give you a bunch of honorable mentions, but it's the Magic. That tweeted picture with all their trade targets on a whiteboard, they can't get the players they want in Europe, America, China, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry, everyone has bargaining chips on them now, and they can put them in any position they want to for the next 5 years.
That's fair. Mark?
I'm going to have to go with the same thing. I have to go with the Magic, honestly. It's just they can't have any sort of player development with players like Payton going, and then Oladipo, who's now a star as well.
They traded away all the draft picks they traded away and going to the playoffs last year.
Yep.
So
yeah, I'm not sure Orlando has any clue what they're doing these days. But with New York, like, you expect them to be great, you know, and the total disarray surrounding that.
Now Porzingis is down too.
Yeah, and I mean it feels so down and out for them. I'm shocked. But today I've got to give the W to Ben Boy. That was well done. Mark? always great to have you on set, buddy.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know,
don't look so sad. Your Celtics
right
will bounce back. Don't
losing
worry.
streak on all aspects of life right now.
Don't worry, buddy. But you guys stay with us. We'll be back with some joust action. Don't want to miss that.
It is time for your UCF Sports Week preview, brought to you by Nightly News. I'm Jimmy Calhoun, and let's take a look at what our Knights have in store this week. We will start with men's basketball as they take on USF on Wednesday night. The War on I-4 will take place at the CFE Arena at 6 p.m. Back on January 20th, the Knights beat the Bulls 71-69 in Tampa. BJ Taylor led the Knights in that contest with 25 points. Now from the hardwood to the diamond, the UCF softball team will play a doubleheader on Friday in the Disney D9 Invitational. They will take on Northern Iowa at 2:30 and will bounce back shortly after to take on LIU Brooklyn at 5. The team has another doubleheader on Saturday as they take on Texas Tech at 3 and FAMU at 5:30 at home. This will come after the Knights played in the Friends of Jacqueline Invitational this past weekend. The UCF baseball team will begin their season on Friday as they take on Virginia. That's only the beginning for the Knights as they will play Rice on Saturday at 5 and Samford on Sunday at 2. Both games will be held at the newly renovated John Uliano Park. Now back to the hardwood for some UCF women's basketball. The War on I-4 continues for the women as they take on USF at the CFE Arena. This will be the Knights' first meeting with the Bulls this season. Tip-off is set for noon. The UCF men's golf team will match up with UF in the Gator Invitational this weekend. Matches are set for all day Saturday and Sunday. As for the UCF women's golf team, they will compete in the All-State Sugar Bowl Intercollegiate Women's Golf Championship against Tulane. Matches will begin on Sunday. That's all we have for this week. Check back next week for our UCF Sports Preview, brought to you by Nightly News.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
All right, everyone, you've made it to the joust, the most exciting 5 minutes in sports television. We've got Ben Sanders and Jimmy Calhoun. Let's get after it, guys. Right smack dab in the middle of the NBA trade deadline craziness, Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers agreed to a 5-year, $137.5 million contract. The contract makes Garoppolo the highest paid contract in the history of the NFL. So this is a two-parter. What do you think of the contract, and what are you purchasing first with that lump sum of cash? Ben, we'll get it started with you.
Contracts, I mean, if someone's going to pay me that much money, it doesn't matter where it is, what league it is, I'm going to take it. I don't have to worry about money for the rest of my life. Jimmy G, hats off to him, said it on Hitting the Field if he got traded away and played well, 49ers, or someone would figure it out and sign him. They did. Things that I buy.
Most importantly.
I mean, there's a few things that I could say that might get me in trouble with the old US authorities, but I don't know, a LaFerrari, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's definitely fair. I like the contract. I mean, I know it's only 7 starts, but it's really hard to turn around a 1-10 team and win 5 straight. He was a culture change according to the 49ers, so I think he's worth the money. First thing I'm buying, a house right on the bay.
Yeah,
a nice house right on the bay.
Get yourself set up real comfortable with that $137 million
house. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know what I'd buy. I think I'd be like a kid in a candy store.
Lots and lots of cars.
Yeah, that'd be my second purchase, but I gotta get the home first.
I just feel like 7 wins wasn't enough.
I know,
but at the same time, who are you going to get?
Exactly.
It's not like the quarterback market's booming right now.
No, and Jimmy G proved he can play. So.
Yeah, and
7-0.
They like him. That's the most important part. Mm-hmm. Well, gentlemen, we had a return that tugged on my heartstrings this weekend when the king of Wade County checked in for the Miami Heat. After a season-and-a-half absence, Dwayne Wade checked in for my beloved Heat. What kind of impact can he make for the Heat, and what are your opinions on his return? Jimmy, we'll get started with you.
I like the return just for, I mean, you saw what the jersey sales went up to. I mean, it was a great organizational decision. It was great for Wade and his family.
8,000%.
Yeah, it was great for both sides that way. I think he gives the Heat on the court. I think he gives them a closer. I think he gives them a leader, someone who's experienced. They're right, I think, at the 7th seed right now, so it looks like they're trending towards the playoffs. I think it gives them a closer in the playoffs. It gives them experience, someone who's been in the playoffs multiple times, and a leader, and will help with team chemistry.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, even players, you know, like we saw Hassan Whiteside's initial interview was absolutely hilarious. He had no idea. I don't know if you saw that. And he just said, yeah, well, I'm going to get thrown some lobs. So,
Exactly.
So I'm here for it. How do you feel about it, Ben?
Coming down the stretch, he's just going to be that difference maker. If the Heat want to move up and avoid, there's only a couple of teams in the Eastern Conference you got to worry about. There's the Raptors, the Celtics, and the Cavs, yeah, and now maybe with the Cavs. So the higher up you are, the better. And Dwayne Wade's going to help that. He makes big shots. He knows how to facilitate the ball, and he's going to help the young guys who are going to be the future of Miami.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's a great replacement for Deion Waiters.
And I think what played into that 8,000% increase in sales were those Miami Vice jerseys.
Oh, they're nice.
Those are so nice.
I don't have the arms for them, unfortunately.
I think I'll have to pick one up myself. Finally, the Philadelphia Eagles lived it up almost as much as you can after winning the Super Bowl last week at their parade. There were players and coaches getting drunk, fans climbing poles, and one fan that even ate horse excrement. But possibly the highlight of it all was center Jason Kelce in full genie gear delivering an impassioned speech. It got all of us here at Hitting the Field thinking, which NFL player would you be most excited for in a post-Super Bowl parade speech scenario? Ben?
I'm going to pull on Meech's heartstrings a little bit, and I'm picking Jalen Ramsey. And because Jalen Ramsey, I don't know what's going to come out of his mouth, but it's going to be heinous, and all the TV producers there are going to be worried about it with all the profanity, and I don't know what he's going to be doing with beer and liquor or whatever, but I just think it would be great. It'd be a spectacle, and that's all you want, really. If you've won the pinnacle of your sports of your, it doesn't matter if you work in marketing, sports, whatever, if you do the pinnacle,
you live it up.
You live it up, exactly.
That's how it should be.
No, and I can't believe you actually said Jalen Ramsey because that's who I had down too. I hate the Jaguars, but I love him as a player. I love someone who, Richard Sherman 2.0, someone who talks the talk and backs it up. He only made it to the AFC Championship against the Patriots, and his video went viral on him talking in the Jacksonville Stadium. So I can't even imagine what do you do with the platform at a Super Bowl parade. It'd be fun to watch.
To be honest, I would have liked to see any of the Jags deliver one of those speeches, especially on that defense, because all those boys really played for each other this year.
And they really worked for it.
And you know it would have been impassioned. But Jason Kelce, that was terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, there was a lot of...
We've done segments where we talked about not wanting to see somebody in a dark alley. He's one of them.
Talk about passion. There was a lot of passion, a lot of truth, a lot of just emotion.
This was fun. I enjoyed having everybody up here today. But the win today goes to Jimmy Calhoun. Well done, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, stopping by, hanging out with us at Hitting the Field. We'll be here same time, same place next week. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook. Thanks, guys.
Seek to see more.